Welcome to the Malachis Message Foundation and its Toxic Mold Sucks stories, where we want people to know that toxic mold is a real danger and threat to not only your health, but your home, your finances, and your relationships. We want to raise awareness about toxic mold by showing you the real damage it does to the people, families, and children it affects, and the process they go through after being impacted by mold in order to regain their health, their home, and their lives back. Today, we have the honor and privilege of interviewing another mom who's gone through mold, and one of our dear friends, Lauren Cloud. She grew up in the Houston area. She went to school to be a graphic designer. And if you meet her, you will learn very quickly that she's passionate about her husband and her kids more than anything. And she wants to make sure that everybody knows their story so that they don't have to go through the same thing. Lauren, thank you so much for coming on today with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Lauren. What was your, if you can tell people just a brief snapshot of what your life was like before you and your family experienced mold?
Gosh, so my life before mold was completely different than it is now. Like y'all said, I was a graphic designer and an artist, and I had a lot more energy. I was constantly spending time outside with my kids in the driveway doing sidewalk chalk art and setting up stuff for the neighborhood kids and playing with them, being with them, 24/7 because I had the energy to. And my husband and I would have big crawfish boils and parties at the house and family over. And one of the big things that we did together was we worked out together in the garage. We would do the Insanity or P90X, and I would run like 4 or 5 times a week. I would run with the girls in this double jogging stroller that I had, and we would go on family walks. I would do 5Ks with friends. And I was really serious about keeping my body healthy. And at one point, I was even selling health supplements. Um, but I just had a lot more energy and was really great with my executive function skills, which are not as great anymore. So,
So, you said things changed. How did they
yes.
change? Would you mind sharing your mold story with us?
Yeah, sure. So basically, when I have two daughters, and after my second daughter was born, Skylar, as she was growing up and hitting your milestones, and you watch to make sure that your kids hitting them, we started to notice some things that we were concerned about. And they weren't major in the beginning. We just noticed that her immune system was a lot weaker. She was constantly getting sick, and she had really severe eczema. And we expressed our concerns to her doctor about it, and he was like, oh, every kid's different. Well, with Skylar, it started to get worse. She was always irritable, and we couldn't take her to a lot of places because of her sensory issues. So places that were really loud with bright light, lots of sound and things going on, she would kind of shut down. She had issues with her clothing, potty training issues as she got older. She never slept through the night when she was little. And that was really concerning for me as a mom because I was worried about, her growth and things. At one point, we noticed a tick that she was doing with her like eyes and her mouth, and but we would express these concerns to the pediatrician. He wasn't, as concerned as we were. I ended up taking her to occupational therapy, and they were concerned. They screened her and they wanted to work with her, and we were doing that for a while, but we really didn't make any progress. So I finally found this doctor in the area that a lot of people were saying could help her. And we got on the waiting list, got the appointment, and found out from that doctor that Skylar had Pams Pandas after doing some lab work. And the same day that we found that out, the doctor told us that Skylar was also being exposed to mold that was making her ill. And when the doctor said that, my head just, you know, it's like I couldn't even hear her anymore. She just kept talking, and my mind was thinking, mold, where's the mold? Because our home had never been flooded. You know, we never had a pipe leak. And, you know, we were proud homeowners. We took really good care of our home. We stayed on top of maintenance, and we were, I just couldn't figure it out. But at the same time, I was having all these health issues as well. And when she said that, I started to wonder that could be what was making me sick. And like some of the symptoms I was having was really bad joint pain and headaches, migraines that were, at one point, I went to the ER for a migraine because it felt like someone came up behind me and stabbed me in the head with a knife. I was slowly becoming, over, you know, a matter of a time span of 2 years, I was noticing I wasn't able to work out like I used to. I was running a lot less, and I couldn't tolerate what I used to be able to tolerate. I was waking up in the middle of the night soaked in sweat, like drenched, and then I'd have to change clothes, put a towel down, go back to sleep, and I'd wake up soaked again. And I was exhausted. My hair was falling out in clumps. I was noticing I was allergic to more things, and slowly changing like the products I was using. I couldn't dye my hair with regular hair dye anymore. I noticed that I couldn't have a glass of wine without having what looked like an allergic reaction to it. Sound and light was starting to bother me as well, like they did my daughter. I was really jumpy. My eyes couldn't focus. I started getting vertigo. Couldn't go to the movie theaters without getting nauseous, because watching a movie, I would get vertigo. I was thirsty all the time. My monthly cycle was horrible, incredibly painful. You know, would put me on the couch for a week. I was becoming sensitive to foods and different things I was thinking I might be allergic to. My nose would start bleeding out of nowhere. What else? Basically, it got to a point in our home where whenever I would come home, the only place I felt good was in the bathtub. And that's where I felt normal. It was strange, but yeah. So when she said that mold was making Skylar sick, we went home and ended up calling Texas mold inspectors, and they came out and, you know, found what the issues were. And it was shocking to me that this was what was causing our issues. And so I needed, you know, evidence on me too. And I went to the doctor and found out that that was what was affecting my health as well. So yeah, it was life changing. We ended up trying to figure out what to do. We immediately had our HVAC system replaced. And when we did that, that really stirred things up for me. My symptoms got worse. And it was a nightmare.
When, as a quick side note for people that don't know, would you mind describing quickly? I know we didn't talk about this, but Pams Pandas, unless you've been through mold and you've heard about it, it's something that most people don't know about. Would you mind sharing real quick just what that is so that people understand what your daughter went through?
Yeah, so Pams Pandas is, gosh, they are acronyms, but it is basically autoimmune encephalitis. So it's when you catch a viral infection, and it crosses the blood-brain barrier and shows neurological symptoms. So like for Skylar, a lot of the neurological symptoms were, I don't know if I mentioned this already, these symptoms, but like she would have these meltdowns where she would bang her head against the wall, and she would just get so angry. And then afterwards she would feel so much remorse. Like she would say to me, and this is really a common thing that kids would say, is, I don't know why my brain is doing this, Mom. I don't know why my brain's telling me to do this. And it was heartbreaking to me because this wasn't her personality. It wasn't her. And it was scary. I would have to, sometimes she would get so violent, I'd have to sit and like just wrap my arms around her and to keep her from hurting herself. She would pull chunks of her hair out when she'd get really angry. Felt a lot, she had a lot of anxiety and, thought, thought kids didn't like her, would get upset over things that weren't really normal. And it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. At one point, she got sick, and then it was like a week or two later, she started washing her hands and wouldn't stop. So OCD is a common symptom of Pams Pandas as well. But she washed her hands so much in a couple of days that her hands were raw and bleeding and cracking. She said she kept feeling like there was something on them. So yeah, it's basically where they show these neurological symptoms, and clinically, doctors see it and they will treat it as ADD or ADHD by prescribing a pharmaceutical, when really these kids need to be on an antibiotic, and some supplements or things to get their immune system back up and strong again. So it's a horrible thing, but I do think more doctors are learning about it these days than a few years ago.
When you found out that it was mold, Lauren, how did you guys feel?
I was angry. Well, at first I was really confused because I didn't realize that mold could do this to us. I always thought mold would really show in, allergy-like symptoms, right? Like sinuses and, maybe throat infections and, and stuff like that. But I never thought that it could do what it did to us. Never thought that. So I was confused, and confused as to how we had mold in our home too, when, I thought people get mold in their homes when their houses get flooded or they have a pipe break and they didn't take care of it. But, that's not always the case. And then I was angry when I realized that we never stood a chance in that home because of the way it was built, and that's preventable. And that really ticked me off. Because, if we were building homes the right way, then none of us would be getting sick. And it's really that simple. Why can't we do that?
So if Malachi's message had been around when, well, y'all are still going through it, I guess. So would you mind actually sharing with us your relationship with Malachi's message and how you are working with us, and then how Malachi's message would help you?
So my relationship with Malachi's message is, I just think that this foundation is incredible and have wanted to help in any way I can. And I've been doing graphic design work for whatever the organization needs. And if how Malachi's message would be able to help me. I mean, when we first found out that mold was in our home, we were confused on how we were supposed to handle this. I mean, we knew we needed to get out of the house, but we didn't have anywhere safe that we could go to recover. And, the temporary housing benefit that Malachi's message has would have been huge for us then. Because we had already depleted our savings from when my husband was laid off, and we hadn't, put that back yet. So we were trying to figure out, how we need to get out of here. How do we do that? And so a lot of people say, just get out of the house for a week so you can start feeling better and be able to make decisions, So the temporary housing thing, the remediation, that was another thing. The extra money we did have, it really took that from us. And, this illness is just so expensive, from inspection costs to medical costs. I mean, I am in the process of adding up how much it's cost us medically, and it's insane. It really is horribly sad, how expensive it is, because to get better, you have to go see doctors that, maybe your insurance doesn't cover. And it blows my mind that for at least the kids, that insurance doesn't cover that. That is mind blowing to me. But um, yeah, there's so many ways. I think financially, but I don't think anyone has enough money to fully heal from this and fix the situation they're in, because insurance doesn't help you out. Your home insurance doesn't help you out. Your, medical insurance doesn't help you out. And it's crazy. So there's so many ways that a nonprofit like Malachis Message could help.
You've got the important one right there. So finally, and this is the one that we know we could talk about for hours and days, and we actually do, the three of us. But if there was one thing you could tell people about mold, what would it be?
Do I have to say one thing? Because
you can say more than one, but yes.
Well, black mold isn't the only mold that can make you sick. I'm so tired of hearing that. All molds, in my opinion, from what I've read and learned over the years, can make you sick if you have enough of it in your home. Our homes are so airtight. So if you see mold, you have a problem. And that's the other thing, is that molds that can make you sick don't need just water to grow. They just need humidity. And I think a lot of people don't realize that if you have a high humidity in your home, you could have a mold problem. You don't have to be allergic to mold to get sick or for it to make you incredibly ill. If you tested me for allergies right now, I'm not allergic to mold, but I am incredibly still sick from this and healing. I didn't mention that earlier. They in my healing journey, we kept coming to these roadblocks, and I wasn't able to tolerate medication and things, and ended up finding out that I have Lyme disease with the co-infection of anaplasmosis, and I also have mast cell activation syndrome, multiple chemical sensitivities, and still trying to figure out how to heal from all that and get back to normal. Another thing, mold causes multi-system illnesses. It doesn't just affect your sinuses and allergies. It can affect all parts of your body, your respiratory system, your neurological system, your muscular system, your nervous system, digestive system, your skin. So, for me, even one of the major things when we moved out of our house was I could barely walk because my hip was having issues. And I ended up having an MRI and, finding out that I had bursitis in my hip and cysts and all kinds of things. And it's like mold, when you're exposed to it and you're breathing it in on a daily basis, it just starts to break your body down. And mold doesn't just grow in old homes. I was talking to someone the other day that they were in shock that we were in a newer home and we had mold. And I'm like, oh gosh, newer homes can be worse than older homes. So, yeah, there's so many things I want people to know. And I did want to say, because I was talking about earlier with y'all's question of what was life like before mold, what life is like now after mold, because it is so different. And I wrote a few things down real quick, but just I can't go places without thinking about what if that place might be moldy before I go, or if it's gonna affect me. I can't go down the laundry aisle and smell all the perfumes and chemicals at the grocery store without reacting. I don't have any energy. I can't host parties like we used to at our house, or I can't do all the things I used to do with my kids like we used to. And when I go to buy something at the store, I'm looking at the ingredients to make sure there's nothing in it that is going to affect me or my kids. I can't work out. I can't tolerate working out without being bedridden for 3 days. Actually tried recently and flared me up for a week. I'm paranoid about mold and cross contamination all the time. So when we have people over, after they leave, I'm constantly like cleaning or, worried if I have anyone come in the apartment that's maintenance and make them put the little booties on. And it's tough because like I know that what I'm doing is right, but it makes me feel like I'm a crazy person or like that people might think that. But it's how we've been taught to handle our lives from here on out so that we can get better or, not be exposed again. So I really have to think about so much. And, it's not just me. My daughters are the same way when we go shopping. We went to TJ Marshall's or TJ Maxx recently, and my oldest was like, "Mom, you reacted last time we were here. We shouldn't be going here." And I'm like, "I just got to grab something really quick. I'm sure it's fine." And last time we were there was a year before, and yeah, sure enough, go in and I have another reaction. And my youngest is constantly, she usually reacts first, and she's constantly looking for signs when we go places in the buildings, things. And she has a little bit of paranoia about mold as well. And my executive functioning skills are a lot worse than they were before mold. Trying to put sentences together and remembering things. It has gotten better. It was a lot worse a year ago, but it's still not like it was. I can't.
I'm the same way
Like
now with chemicals. I used to love chemicals, loved cleaning with them. I love the smell of the chemicals. And now I'm so sensitive to them. I have a hard time going down the laundry detergent aisle or going and getting my hair cut because of the chemicals in the air. I just start reacting. And Sebastian,
Yeah.
He never gets sick anymore now that we got him recovered. But the other day, he went ghost white, started throwing up, and almost passed out because, sure enough, right above us, there was all this mold coming out of the vent. He reacts terribly to mold. So,
yeah,
it's I'm glad you brought that up, Lauren, because life after mold is so different.
Yeah, it
than before.
It is, and it's like even when you're visiting family, right? And like your aunt is wearing perfume, that's nothing to her, but to you, you give her a hug, now it's on you, and you were like, you've got to go home and change clothes and shower because it. And I know not every moldy is like this, but that's me right now. And my oldest daughter wasn't as affected by mold as we were, and it was more like the allergy symptoms for her and things, but and skin issues. But she's preteen age, and she wants that Bath and Body Works stuff, and things that if she puts it on in the house, I smell it, and it's overwhelming, and it's overwhelming for my youngest one too. So she can't have that, and it's horrible that life is just so different after. It's so different, and we're constantly trying to navigate things, and it makes us the oddball family, right? Which is tough on the kids and stuff, because why do we have to do it that way, or why can't I have Bath and Body Works products, and stuff like that. So yeah, I constantly hear my husband say, gosh, why does it have to be so hard? Why can't things be easier for us? It's like everything is so difficult. And I understand where he's coming from, but if if we don't do these things, then we're going to go back down that path of, we're on the healing road. I don't want to go backwards is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, there's so much we could say about you, Lauren. You, but I can't, because we've made it through this one without crying. So we cannot go there. But she's an incredible fighter, and she's just an incredible fighter. And she works her tail end off to make sure her family is safe. And their journey is incredible. And so we want you all to follow it if you can. Lauren, how do people keep track of you guys and how you're healing and follow your journey?
On social media, also on my website right now is www.laurencloud.com. And then going live this month is going to be healingtheclouds.com. It's just not live yet.
Awesome. So keep track of her, keep track of her family. And we are excited to continue to work with you because we love your graphic design and we just love you to pieces. So I think that's it for us this week. Come back next week. We will have another interview for you and another story for you to hear. Thank you so much, Lauren.
Thank you guys. I love y'all.